a conversation with Professor Arpit Rana and Professor Amit Mankodi on the BS-MS dual degree at Dhirubhai Ambani University.
What is the difference between science and engineering?
So in science stream, we primarily focus on fundamentals. So there's a rigor of fundamental that we study, where students would be focusing primarily on understanding mathematics, statistics, basic programming and things like that. When we talk about engineering, we are primarily talking about applying the concepts of foundation. For example, you use data science. In data science, we can use mathematics. Similarly, when you want to build any banking application, enterprise level application, you use programming. So engineering is where we apply the foundation knowledge which we have gathered in the science stream.
Okay. So basically, how do you see different programs available in India, specifically in science and engineering streams?
So primarily, I would say there are two types of programs. One is theory-heavy programs, and the other kinds are tool-heavy programs. So in the theory-heavy programs, again, there is more of a foundation rigor, conceptual understanding, but it lacks the application part of it. So in the sense that you learn a lot of basics, a lot of fundamentals, but then how do you apply that to the real-world situation is not really covered in depth. Whereas when we talk about tool-heavy programs, they primarily talk about applying the concepts in building some tools, right? But the concepts in depth are not really covered in the tool-heavy programs. So in short, the programs are divided into concept-heavy or theory-heavy and the tools-heavy programs.
So how do you see BS-MS programs at DAU? Like, how is it different from other programs available, equivalent programs available in India?
So if you look at the industry today, the technology is evolving at a very fast speed. So when the student graduates, the student can definitely learn the tools as part of the program and can be productive, apply immediately that knowledge in the industry to solve the real world problems. But if the student has not studied the foundation, the concepts, then when the tool changes or the technology changes after a few years, it will be difficult for the student to actually adapt to the new technology. So what student needs is the amalgamation of both these areas, in the sense that the person should have the foundation as well as should have the applied knowledge, so that in the immediate need, that student can apply the knowledge to solve the problems, and then as the technology changes, he or she can adapt to the new technology as well.
So you mean to say that nowadays we need a combination of these two?
Absolutely.
One will not work.
Absolutely correct. And that is what we actually cover here at DAU in this BS-MS programs.
What if someone passes out through, as you said, tool-heavy program or theory-heavy program? So what do you think that what is the outcome, or what are the problems that he will have to face?
So when a student has studied in the programs which is more tool heavy, in the sense that he understands how to apply different technologies which is currently available, he or she would be immediately be able to solve the problem that is there currently. But as we mentioned, if the tool changes or the technology changes, then that student will have very difficulty in actually adapting the new concepts and apply that to solve the problems of that time, right? Whereas if the student has foundational understanding concepts in the theory-heavy programs, then the students will know the concepts, but then again, using those concepts and how to apply that to the real-world scenario, that will be the lacking for that student. So in short, you need to have the programs that combines both these aspects, that you have the foundational rigor, understanding of the concept, and also how to apply those concepts in the real world scenario. Both of these aspects are needed in a single program.
So, Prof, you have just mentioned that there is a need of good enough amalgamation or the combination of these two, tool heavy as well as theory heavy side of the same program. But as you are saying that you are expecting to provide these type of balance in your BS-MS programs, but Are you just saying it, or how you are going to operationalize all of it?
Right. So basically, the way these programs are designed, the BSMS programs at DAU are designed, is where in the first 2 years, we have provided the foundational concepts, right? So the courses with different mathematics, right? Discrete math, linear algebra, and things like that are covered, and basic fundamental of programming and things like that are covered in the first 2 years. When it comes to the third and the fourth year, we are covering more of the applied aspect of the understanding. So where students will be able to work on projects, enterprise level projects, and they'll be able to build the systems, right? So the fundamentals that are studied in the first 2 years will be applied in third and fourth year. And then we also have certain areas where students will go into the industry and work on the real world projects.
What about the hands-on and the practical knowledge? How you are going to impart that to your students?
So we have various levels of imparting practical knowledge into students. First will be the lab assignments, and these lab assignments generally focus on an individual topic of the subjects that students are studying. Then many of the courses will have the subject level projects, where they will be just focusing on the topics that are covered in that particular subject. And then we have two other aspects where we have minor and major projects, where in the minor projects the students will be learning the domain knowledge, business domain. In the major project, the student will be using the knowledge from individual courses and the domain knowledge, and will be able to build enterprise level applications. And then finally, the last layer we have is the internship layer, where students will be able to go to the industry and actually use the knowledge that they've gained through this different various practical aspects to solve the real world problems in the industry.
So as a student will go through all of these three different layers plus industry, and after this extensive training of his program, what is the outcome that you expect that students should expect at least from these two programs?
So students have many opportunities after finishing this program. The most important one, they can get jobs in the industry, and they can play various roles in the industry. So they can be a software developer, data analyst, cybersecurity analyst, administrator, all kind of roles that a student can get into. Other things that student can get into is, let's say for example, if they want to start their own business, startup, so they can be an entrepreneur or start the startup, or they can even go for higher studies. So anybody interested in doing research and wants to pursue a PhD, they can go into PhD program after this.
So for startup and entrepreneurship, are you going to provide programs, specific courses in that direction?
Yes, we do have various open electives, and these will be taught by some industry expert, some in-house faculty related to economics in entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship management, law and entrepreneurship, and these things like that. So basically students will get an overall idea about how to start a new company.
So what about BSMS in information technology specifically?
So whenever we build a software, that software needs to run on some infrastructure, right? So it is not only software that will work without any hardware. So the IT, BSMS IT provides students an ability to not only develop the enterprise level software, but also how to deploy and maintain the infrastructure in the production environment. So this is primarily the difference between the computer science, traditional computer science, and the information technology area. There are many facets of information technology. Primarily, we can categorize them into 4 areas, and all these 4 areas we have covered in our BSMS programs. They are called as tracks in our program. So the tracks will be cybersecurity, software development and engineering, data science, and administration and operations.
Okay, so the point is that if I want to actually understand it even better, so what will be the difference between the functionality of a software developer and data administrator? if you can map it with the definition of information technology that you just provided.
Right. So a sort of software development developer would be responsible for writing code. For example, if I have a large amount of data in my data store, software developer will be responsible for extracting that data in the format that is required, right? Whereas the administrator is responsible for ensuring that the data that is extracted through the software is retrieved in the quickest time or the fastest time, right? So the operation side is ensuring the operationability or the scalability of the system, whereas the developer side is meeting the functionality of an application.
And then you are going to provide both the things in this program.
Absolutely.
What about BSMS program in data science and artificial intelligence?
So this actually contains two components. The data science part, which is where we make the decisions out of finding the patterns in the data. And the artificial intelligence is where we automate the decision of the data that we have retrieved. So these are two different components. And the goal of the program that we are offering, the BSMS DS and AI program, is to actually again combine these together, and students will be studying not only how to extract the data and get the meaningful information out of it, but also how to apply that and automate that through the applied AI.
So ultimately, they would be able to build the systems that can actually learn, adapt, and overall make the decisions automatically.
Correct.
Being a student, like how would I be able to choose that? Which one I should look for? What exactly the candidacy, or if you can help students to figure out wherever they should go, what based on their interest or their candidacy.
So if student is interested in working with a lot of mathematics, analysis, right, statistics, working with the data, if the students like working with data and finding meaningful information from the data, then the student would need to choose BSMS in data science and AI. If the students is interested in building large enterprise level applications in different business domains like finance, environment, cybersecurity, and things like that, and also in interested in deploying that application and ensuring that how it runs nicely on the production environment, in that case, that student would choose the information technology BSMS program.